lose, it's very important. I can't look after the tyres anymore, they're dead.
In this video, I've modded the game so that the tyres only last one lap, and that is with tyre conservation, meaning I'm not going to be driving flat out on that singular lap, and we'll be making a pit stop with the AI every lap. So if you're wondering what it's like to be on a Ferrari strategy, but every team is on a Ferrari strategy, this is your video.
And box now, box.
This mod was really enjoyable to play, so I hope Codemasters adds something where you can customize the tire life in the future. But if you do enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Only 0.1% of you are subscribed apparently. But anyways, let's jump into the video. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is check that I've modded the game correctly so that the tires last one lap. That is definitely not one lap. How many times I gotta tell you guys not to buy Pirelli condoms? These tires last a shorter amount of time than the Tifosi's patience for Mattia Binotto.
These rumors about Binotto are totally false and you shouldn't be saying them.
Just kidding, we sacked him. Guys, this tuning of the mod has not gone well. How has my left front tire turned into an intermediate? I'm meant to be on the side. You know what the funniest thing is? I never touched anything related to this. This should not happen. This means theoretically, you should be able to trigger this glitch on default F122 with no mods. Okay, gentlemen, we're done with the tuning of the mod, as in the amount of wear we're going to be having on these tires per lap. So hopefully we've got a decent balance, and now we're testing it out just to see how much the fronts and the rears wear out at Spa. Now you will be noticing that I'm not driving flat out, and that is because I have to preserve the tires in order to make it to the end of the lap, which is going to be very tricky. So I'm not going to be racing against 110 AI because it's going to be super difficult to balance being fast and making it to the end at the same time. I am, however, very curious to see how the AI will perform with this mod, and just wondering how often they'll pit, if they'll pit every lap like I basically will be, or if they're going to try and make it last more than one lap somehow. Very interesting to see how the track layout affects the tire degradation. You can clearly see that Spa is affecting the fronts a lot more. It degrades the fronts more because it loads the front tires through long corners. And as you can see, my front tires are 100% worn, and we've only just made it back to the pits. Alright, now that we know the front tires suffer, I'm going to make the car a lot more oversteery, which should hopefully protect the front tires more at the cost of a bit of stability, and it might damage the rear tires a bit more. Now I'm just making sure the rear of my car has more bias than Sky Sports, and away we go. We never actually completed a lap without reaching 100% tire wear, so wish me luck. I don't think I have very high hopes for this one. What's the chances Eau Rouge kills me? Yep. Knew it. Hey guys, welcome to the Belgian Grand Prix. We're racing on tires that last a shorter amount of time than I last in. I should not have slapped all that downforce on this car. Now I'm playing what it's like to be GP2 Simulator. Alonso edition. Well guys, I guess this goes to show that the right tire changes every... All these tire jokes is really tiring me out. I think my comment section will say it's compounding the issue. I hope this video doesn't make you feel deflated. Okay, on a more serious note, I think we might be able to make it to the end of this lap, or at least to the pits, without reaching 100%. Thanks, Mark. We're at 70, mid-70s, so I think this is possible to complete this race. We obviously have 5 sets of tires. Never mind. We just got a puncture, apparently. Way to commentators curse it. But we should be able to limp this one back to the pits. Remember, this is basically the longest circuit on the calendar, so if we can survive here, we should have more success at the other circuits when we try those out. This pit lane's about to be busier than the queue to get next year's grandstand tickets for the Grand Prix. Look at this shit, you're 9,988th in the queue. Are you kidding me? This is for Australia, but it's probably worse in other countries. Let me know what it's like for your country down below. Alright, lap 2, still suffering like Alonso's GP2 Honda. I say that while being overtaken by a Honda, by Sonoda. I know Codemasters have just released a new elimination game mode, but I really hope they can make this also a game mode where you can customize the tire life, because it's just hilarious. It's really fun and enjoyable to play. Believe it or not, it's probably one of the most fun mods I've made so far. So I hope they can make something like this. It'd be pretty funny. But yeah, credit to Codemasters for still trying and making new game modes to this day. Blanchimont is a serious tire killer for this style of game mode. It's barely a corner in the normal game, but it destroys my front tires, and apparently my rear left somehow managed to balance it out to a point where my rears are also going off now. But we made it to the pits, that's the main thing, and we're in P12, almost bit into the wall, and I think the strategy will be to go into a different set of compound tires. Yes, that's going to be the mediums this time, so that hopefully we can last a little bit longer. And while I don't think the mediums are going to last 2 laps, I think we'll be able to push harder on the tire, so that way we can set a faster lap time. It's weird because the slower compounds are actually the faster compounds because you can push them harder. Anyways, we've been overtaken by Ricardo and Alonso. That's dropped us down into P14. So we're going to have to do something a bit different with the strategy next time around, literally at the end of this lap, if we're going to try and work our way up the order. So I'm thinking we should go into the hard tires and try to make it last to the end of the race, which will be just 2 laps from now. You can clearly see that the harder compound tire is working better at this point in the track. We were definitely having a lot more wear, but it's just not enough to make it last 2 laps. So let's try and go on the hards and make them last to the end of this race, hopefully, and we can jump the order, and as like most of the AI will make that pit stop and we'll be staying out. Alright, it's time for the pit lane shuffle. We entered in P12. Let's see where we pop out. Also, I can't press the button because it turns out I mapped the turn in button to a different thing, so that's why I messed that up. Looks like, oh man, I thought we were going to pop out and last for a second there, but I think we have lost positions. We've gone from P12 down to P4. Also, I wanted to go onto the hards, but turns out we've gone onto the mediums, so we're going to have to try and make these mediums, which I definitely don't think can last 2 laps. We're going to have to try and bring them to the end of the race. So the plan is to drive really slow and lose even more positions, accounting for they'll have to make a pit stop and we won't. But I'm gonna have to take such good care of these tires. I'm gonna have to drive them like I pay for them, and this will be the actual first time that I cross the start finish line, because every other time I've gone into the pits. And as we come across the line, it looks like we're just under 50%, so theoretically if I drive the same way I should be able to come across the finishing line without a puncture. But as you know, it's easier to make more mistakes on worn tires, and if you make mistakes on this type of wear rate of tire, it punishes you a whole lot more, whether you lock up, slide, or do anything of the sort. So we'll be having to take it super easy while we're in P7, so let's just try and make it to the end of the race in the points. That will be the goal. We've jumped up from like P17 or something to P7, so that's a big gain. Let's try and bring this home. We've been managing the tires as best we can. Ocon has now caught and passed us. We've got Perez right behind us as well, and we're just trying to roll it back home. But the tires are incredibly worn at this point, and I think I've got a puncture on the left rear. Yeah, definitely do. So we're gonna have to try and limp it back home. We've now lost the points. Hopefully we can stay ahead of Albon, but I seriously doubt that. If you don't know already, I think if you drive slower, it maintains the structural integrity of the tire, and obviously you'll lose a whole bunch more time if you start spinning out on the tires. So I'm just trying to roll it back home without it delaminating the tire and basically causing us to spin. And we've lost pretty much all the ground that we made up, but in the end we're going to come home in P15, and that's going to wrap up the Spa Grand Prix. But we are not done yet. Of course, when it's a Ferrari style strategy race, Ferrari wins because they're the most experienced at it. Alrighty, we're here for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. This track eats front tires for breakfast, well, with this mod at least. So we're going to try and do our best to conserve the front tires like we did in Spa. We're starting from the back, and we're going to be trying to make up as many positions as possible on equal performance this time. So all the cars have equal performance, level playing field. Let's see what we can do. I guess I can't say any jokes at this track because I don't want my lifespan to last shorter than these tires. You know, I've only got one serious corner left on the track, so we might be able to make it alright on these soft tires, at least for the meantime. We've got Magnussen in front of us, but I'm really interested in overtaking Stroll, so that way we don't have to double stack. So we're going to go full send. I wasn't trying to overtake Bottas there. Can you please get off me? Get off me.
You're on me, get off me.
My patience for Bottas is running thinner than these tires. Good news, we made it to the pits, and we are in for what is the first episode of the pit lane shuffle for this race. We've made up some decent positions. I think it was like P11 heading into the pits. It'd be nice if we could maintain position, maybe even perhaps gain positions, but I highly doubt it, heading out. And usually we get stuck behind cars, but it looks like we've actually gained a ton of positions. We're now in P4. Bottas is immediately in front of us as we try to overtake him going into the final corner. All we got to do is try to make these soft tires last around 3 laps, pitting each lap, or just try and get the maximum out of these tires for the singular lap that we're going to be using them for. And then we'll jump onto the hard tires and try to make the hard tires last 2 laps, so that way we don't have to make that extra pit stop when the AI do. We're in P3 now. We're in the podium positions. We have Hamilton and Sainz in front of us, I think, when Sainz actually emerges from the pits. Hopefully we don't get held up, and I think we briefly might have got held by that Williams entering the pits, but it wasn't too bad. There's been much worse occasions than that. At least we didn't have the double stack like we did in Belgium. So yeah, Hamilton and Sainz in front of us, roughly around 4 seconds in front. It's quite a large gap, but hopefully we can do something different to them, as we're going to be trying to make these tires last 2 laps instead of them pitting every lap. That's if they do decide to pit. Who knows what they'll actually do, because they are on the mediums, which is kind of like a no man's land, where it's good enough to push hard on 1 lap, but not really that great to make last 2 laps. So we're going to drive conservative on the hard tires, get a gauge of how much they wear on a singular lap before we know how hard to push on the second lap. Another hard thing about this challenge is every time you pit, you're starting out again on cold tires every single time. So it is so hard to bring those up to temperature without having any wheel spin, because you'll just punish the tires even more. Okay, it looks like we've reached about 50% on these set of tires, so we're going to basically replicate what we've just done. And Bottas is trying to do another lap on the mediums, so this is kind of freaking me out, because it means that the top 2 are also going to be doing the exact same strategy as Bottas. So we're going to have to be racing these guys, I guess, until the end of the race. We've got 2 more laps remaining, this one and the next. So we'll be pitting this lap, and we'll be going on to, I think, the mediums and pushing as hard as we can on those mediums, which means I won't have to preserve the tires as much as I would on the softs. I have to somehow bring these tires home without letting Bottas, Verstappen and Albon get too far away. Albon just absolutely made a mess of that corner, and luckily we didn't get any front wing damage of it. So we're down to 6th place now. We're just going to have to try and limp this back home with the high tire wear we're already up to 80%, and we've got a couple more corners to go. But then after that, we're going to be pushing as hard as we can on those mediums, and hopefully we can get back up to the podium position. Alrighty, we are in for our final pit stop, going into the mediums to the end of the race. We're going to be trying to push as hard as we can, or as much as we're allowed to, on these compounder tires. And let's try and catch Bottas, Verstappen, and Albon in front of us. So we're just going to go full send up the inside of Albon. And we've got Verstappen next, who set the fastest lap of the race. He's on softs, and Bottas is also on softs, so they'll have a lot more tire degradation than we do on this singular lap. And unfortunately, guys, it looks like we are running out of time. I think Verstappen we actually might get Verstappen here if we get a good exit, use up the rest of our battery. We've got like 50%. DRS open, Verstappen's out of the battery. You can see his rear light flashing, and we actually managed to get Verstappen at the line. We bring home 4th place. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Bottas in the end. We just let him go too much on the lap before, and we got held up a bit by Albon. Driver of the day for Sebastian Vettel. He will be missed next year. And I will say that the Aston Martin looks mint under these lights. So guys, as usual, if you have any more ideas for mods that I can do in the future, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. If they're dumb or stupid, I'll probably do them, or I'll consider them. I read them all. I'm thinking of doing a bunch more tire related mods, and I got a few other ideas up my sleeve. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. And I appreciate you guys so much for all the support this year. And I'll see you all in a brand new video.